Hey guys, so today I'm going to be looking at people who are friends with a killer, so yeah, let's just get right into the video. I knew something had happened, way quieter than he usually was. He kept zoning out and staring into space. For context, it was an accident, but he was scared and covered it up. Not very well though, because the cops found the body. He was suspiciously invested in the case. I was actually with him watching TV when the news announced they had found the body. He started sobbing and I was like, dude, did you know her? No, it's just really sad that family lost their grandma. I chalked it up to him losing his own grandma a month or two prior. It didn't even occur to me that it happened like 2 minutes from his house. He was doing a bad job at work and kept getting distracted. When our police showed up at our work, they came over to him and said they had some questions to ask him. And they didn't even get another word out before he collapsed, started bawling and spilled everything out that happened. He confessed everything right there on the shop floor. It would later come out that he had written a 2-part apology letter and put it in a Ziploc bag and gone back to leave it with the body. They asked the front office for a document with his handwriting on it and it was a perfect match. There was damage to the front of his pickup along with the DNA in the bumper. The family understood it was an accident and did feel sorry for him. He got off with a couple years in prison, which he only served half. When he got out, the first thing he did was have his pickup destroyed at a junkyard. He said he couldn't bear to look at anything from that night. He wasn't a bad guy, it was just an accident. Oh, man. That's sad. The fact that they were pretty young too. And when something like this happens, you just panic and you don't know what to do. But always call the cops first, alright? Went to school with a dumbass we'll call Jeff. Wasn't a killer, but he was always creepy. He would always say and do dumb stuff to get a ruse out of people. I wouldn't really say he was a friend, but being both kinda loser kids, we hung around the same circles. One day he said, I got a lady locked in my basement. It being Jeff, everyone just shrugged it off or called him a dumbass, thinking he was just being an idiot. 1 year later, news story breaks. Turns out him and his uncle had a lady living at the house against her will. What in the parasite thing is this? The fact that he just admits it in real life, right? And then no one believes him. Obviously, why would you believe someone who's like, I have someone locked in my basement, ha ha ha. But why would he just suddenly say it like that? That's creepy as. I befriended a schizophrenic guy and we hung out daily. When he wasn't responding to the voices in his head, usually by cracking up laughing until teary-eyed, he was smart, charismatic, friendly, and pretty funny. Long story short, he got a weekend pass to spend the weekend with his family and murdered them all with a hammer. He also murdered the Chinese exchange student staying with him. What the heck? I'm assuming the voices in his head told him to do so? Man, that's scary. I had a friend who had an interesting interaction, we'll say, with a guy who molested his son. I knew it was coming and I completely understand. The molester wasn't seen in town anymore after my friend went to see him. Guess he left. I don't know, it's dangerous to be a pedophile. As for my friend, a couple weeks after he went to see the molester, he got a job offer in Indonesia, so he and his family moved there. I also heard, in a completely unrelated way of course, that Indonesia has no extradition treaty with the US. Funny. We know what happened to the molester. Good. My older sister's closest friend through childhood and high school, so she was like a second sister to me. Both developed major drug problems starting the mid-teens. My sister eventually decided she couldn't have her in life anymore for the sake of her recovery. Years go by and she suddenly gets arrested for killing an old lady she was shoveling snow for. Apparently the woman confronted her about having stolen her credit card and she beat her to death. There was never anything off about her, just a normal teenage girl. Honor student, multiple sport athlete, well liked, and unlike my sister, never got in trouble at school. Yo, kids don't do drugs. Friend from high school offed his wife. It was apparent. Family denied that it was possible. And no, he didn't seem that way in high school. What? Family denying that their son killed somebody? Bro, you don't know your kids as well as you think you know them. A former co-worker killed his mum, over a decade since I last saw him. The guy always seemed a little off, not just socially, but he had a ton of nervous tics, like his hands and face were constantly twitching. I just assumed it was Tourette's or something he was trying to control, and it might have been. But when reading articles about his trial, I learned a lot more about him. We were pages at a studio shortly after college, and it turns out he had battled with schizophrenia while in college. Apparently, he would write letters to celebrities as if he knew them. He had a lot of treatment and a lot of support from his family, and was deemed okay to live and work on his own a couple of years later. Then, getting the job at the studio and seeing actual celebrities in person basically triggered his past delusions. Looking back, I can remember on a couple of occasions while we were working the audience for a show, he'd become still while seeing a celebrity on stage with just a huge smile on his face as if he was in another world. He abruptly left the job and I never saw him again. Apparently, he went back to live with his family while they continued to support him. Not sure exactly what happened, but at some point he became suicidal and stole his dad's shotgun. He was in his own apartment while holding the shotgun when his mum came to the door, and in his unstable state, he shot her. The cops showed up. He fired a few shots at them, hoping for a suicide by cop scenario, but instead he gave up. He's now serving time in prison. Even though his own family advocated he be admitted to a psych ward. Wow. Dude, that's just sad. I just feel bad for everyone, man. Like, everyone gets affected when this sort of thing happens. Every single person in the family. I feel as if he didn't even want to hurt her, you know? Like, he didn't want to, but he was just very unstable at that point. And he didn't know what to do. We knew each other for about 3 years. He was best friends with the guy he killed and robbed selling Christmas trees 1 year. He was funny, a blast to be around, and never quick to anger. That being said, he did get into heavy drugs, but that was after the killing. We just avoided him, and then one day he bragged about it while high and he was arrested. Never saw it coming. That's what scares the crap out of me and my friends, to be honest. Lost a lot of trust in fellow human beings after that. Oh, so they didn't even know he killed someone until he was talking about it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, hey, you just never know someone completely. Like, you could be talking to someone and thinking they're such a cool person, but they could have killed someone before. My friend's younger brother, teenager at the time, got so high he thought he was invincible. He decided he had to test it, so he got into his car and drove into oncoming traffic, hit a minivan head-on and killed a whole family. He always seemed like a normal kid. Now he's in jail for a long, long time. Why does this always happen, man? The fact that the person being dumb never dies, but the people who are just doing their own thing, having a cool family trip or something, die. The fact that the people who do everything right and then their lives are taken away from them. That's freaking messed up, man. Don't do drugs, kids. Friend's older brother was a loose cannon. I'd heard how much abuse his mum, younger brother, my friend, and himself were given frequently by his mum's partner. She was vulnerable mentally and physically handicapped. One day, his brother and mum were beaten by said partner and he snapped. To this day, I don't feel like he is a bad person for what he'd done. Just a young man who was failed by everything that was supposed to protect him and who felt it was necessary to protect his mum and brother. I was sad for my friend because his brother was the only constant he really had and now he's in prison. No! Dude, I feel so sad when stories like this happen, man. The fact that this kid was just trying to protect his own mum and his brother and he gets sent to prison. Like, that should be counted as self-defense, man. Like, who knows? Maybe the mom's partner really wanted to kill them. Who knows, right? Like, constant abuse like that? Man, yeah, that guy didn't even deserve to live anyways. So it's better that he's gone, you know? Man, I could never be a freaking lawyer. Yeah, good that he died because he deserved it. Man, I feel so bad for them. I went to school with a girl who killed someone in a car accident. She ran a red light and was drunk. A couple years later, she gets out of jail and gets in a high-speed chase and derails off the interstate and crashes into a dealership, killing someone in her vehicle. I think the other passengers also passed or were seriously injured. She, on the other hand, was fine. Always. What the heck? So she just keeps on killing people, but nothing happens to her. Man, she gets out of jail and she does the same thing. Some people just never learn. I rode the bus with not one, but 2 kids who ended up murdering someone. I wasn't friends with them, but grew up with them and knew about them pretty well. The first one was a boy a grade above me. He hung around with the stoners, troublemakers, but was generally soft-spoken and minded his business unless you screwed with him. Got tangled up in a drug deal and shot and killed a 16-year-old girl with a group of friends in her car. Apparently, it wasn't even who he was aiming for. His intended target was the 14-year-old. I didn't necessarily see it coming, but it makes sense since he went down the wrong path. I think he got 30 plus years. Oh my gosh, so young. What? Dude, it just makes me feel so bad for everyone. You know, like, there's no way you're so young and you get tangled into this. Like, what the heck? Like, obviously, their environment did not help them at all, right? Like, their parents were probably not around or probably doing things to make them do this. That is sad. The second person. This bitch was a demon child from the second I met her. She was maybe 2 to 3 grades above me. One of my first interactions with her was that she caused a scene on the back of the bus. 12-year-old me turned around to see what the hell was going on. She started screaming at me and threatening to kill me for looking at her. It got so bad the bus driver drove to the police station, to which she hopped off the emergency exit and ran across the highway into the woods. Oh, apparently she deliberately ran over a homeless person too. Multiple times, until they were dead. And she got around 5 years in prison. Okay. Well, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me in the comments down below what your thoughts are. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!